be working out my car situation eventually. This is a borrow. Granted, although it's got technology that is makes it stupid, it's a very good fucking ride. It's a good vehicle. All right, there we go. You know, if only I had retirement boomer money. Retirement boomer money, wouldn't that be something? But I don't know if I actually want retirement. See, I'm living in a very interesting world. You know something? First off, I decided the easiest thing to do, especially because maybe it is possible to have too much honey, and it's hard to, sometimes it's just like, do I really feel like stevia, right? Coffee. I used to always be just like, a typical cream and sugar guy. But now I don't want sugar anymore. Like, sugar is like a side product of, like, I want ice cream, right? But I don't, like, care to add sugar to too many things, right? I'm almost thinking to myself, if I have to add sugar to it and it doesn't have any nutritional value, then why am I having it, right? Chocolate, there's a little bit of an exception, like dark chocolate, right? Dude, like if you go for fucking like 90% cacao or something in your dark fucking chocolate, it's practically bitter. It's like you're eating that solely for dark chocolate's nutritional value, which it has, and why I acquired a taste. So, just talking a little bit about me acquiring tastes as a thing. And right now, a big thing is just I'm in a very big in-betweeny phase, right? I'm in between vehicles. I'm not in between jobs now that I have this gig, and I'm doing well at it, and therefore the staffing agency is going to like giving me more work, et cetera, et cetera. I'm feeling pretty good about it, especially because I'm going to be gunning for shit. I'm going to gun for OSHA certification. Why? Because now I can be at way more job sites. It's just like, it's just like, yeah, you can do this remedial bullshit, but are you OSHA certified? Oh, no, sorry. Right? It's too much liability. They need the OSHA certification stuff. But that is a serious step. It's an important course that can't complain about that. I've come to different realizations about things, and me being able to do what I do. So, I've been talking about that a lot, just because this circumstance has given me a chance to look at the situation for the first time from within instead of from without, right? Looking at some form of a construction site, right? Looking at men who do all the cool kinds of hard labor that involves building anything, really. I see the teamwork, I see the attitude of the guys, I see the way the guys look, and I'm just like, I belong here. If I want to be here. If I want to be here, I belong. And so, as far as earning a living in between what has always been the musical dream is great. And it's very interesting what a person has to go through to change their mindset, their attitude, their direction, and determination. Right? Because those of you who've been with me for a long time, you know that 4 years ago me would be the most unfit person to be doing what I am now excelling at. And even though it's not even the best of effing things. And of course, a big perk up about all of that is, is my certification, right? I can legally, properly drive a forklift with credentials that assure businesses that I am this kind of person that can drive a forklift. It's very easy to break things with one of those things. It's very easy to hurt somebody with one of those things, just based on the nature of where and what you need a forklift for. And the fact that it's designed to drive for maximum mobility and weight capacity and speed. Have fun thinking you're getting anywhere in fourth gear, and that's about as fucking high speed as it gets, and it goes, and it's a tractor. It's like driving a fucking tractor. But it's fun. It is fun, it's just like boys and their toys, they say, right? It's just like you play construction in the sandbox when you're a kid, etc., right? You do that just because you're going through the tactile sensation of making, using your hands, and then that having an absolute direct correlation to creating something, and it's giving you a sense of your wand, your fire will, right? Our lower arcana wands, through the tactile of it. And when you play like that for the first time, you're basically the page of wands receiving the ace of wands, and you're exploring the possibilities of what you can do from there. And that's the essence of the page in the lower arcana suit, is it is to be the student of the element, which is why it is a adolescent person, someone who is just in between childhood and adulthood, when this is an age where you would start getting your more formal kind of I don't even know how you say, if you're saying it's education, right? Like, education is an odd thing when you think about the time before standardized schools and stuff like that, right? I don't think back in the day we worried about academic intelligence at all, right? Academic intelligence was for something that involved literacy, that required literacy, and you had the university, or whatever your equivalency to a university was. And I can't really comment any further on that, right? Because not quite. I gotta pull some more information before I can get there, right? In these streams of consciousnesses, it's I observed things a long time ago, and then it's like weeks and months and years go by, and then the memory of that thought that I was working out certain things about meaning re-arrives. it's the ones that re-arise only because A, you've changed in a way that changes your original understanding of the thing, or you finally come across enough correlations to realize certain correspondent relationships to the thing that keeps arising, and now you can actually talk about it, right? So like that's the process. That's the process. And then you have to have you also have to have some academic knowledge, right? Because what makes one who speaks like I do difficult in the realm of saying you gotta listen to me, right? It's just like there's a marriage between intuitive gnosis and academic knowledge, right? So there's what we learn about what we know already, and then there's what you know that you haven't learned yet. I live in this weird realm of knowing stuff I haven't learned yet, and it goes through wild phases in my head, so it takes me a while with ultra new things, right? And I understand this better because the disposition of my astrology chart, dealing with where my moon is placed and where my Mercury is placed, giving me the full aspect of my thinking processes, right? You know, thoughts and emotions and intellectual process. And ability to communicate, which involves communicating with oneself, right? And when you're tuning into a drive stream, there's something that you're gonna know for the absolute, unless you can see a person who is continually locking their eyes on something that is not the road, and speaking in a certain cadence. It's just like, okay, they may be reading a script while they're driving, right? So like, it's part of the reason why I like kind of like doing this while I drive. It's just like, because I'm sitting there, it's like, man, it's amazing the thoughts that come through my head when I drive. And if I'm going to bother to record them to get them uploaded, that's a hassle to get them uploaded later. So maybe I'll just live stream it, right? Because I am not afraid of my flubs. I pretty much don't edit a goddamn thing, right? I go with it. I don't feel inherently embarrassed of anything that I've said. I invite the criticism of when I'm wrong, right? I don't get a lot of comments, but I get a lot of views. You know, you think if you're getting 50 to 100 views on something, you get more comments, right? People want to comment on what they're looking at. And I speak in such an obscure manner when I'm trying to reach deep to tell you something that then turns into something super practical. And probably it turns a lot of people off because it just sounds like absurdist ramblings, and that's fair. That's fair. It's going to take a different processes of being interested in learning about other things, right? You don't have to be the most well-versed in things that are not your practice, that you are against, you know, such as me and how I talk about the numerological problems of Kabbalah, which are then related to all sorts of other issues that they get you running in the wrong energy field. And there's a lot to talk about that, right? See, what's very interesting about me sharing this information now is that the conversation has changed so much due to people's issues, right? Before 2016, right? Before all of a sudden all this crazy shit that was on internet political verse spewed over, and conspiracy theories have done this interesting thing to the shape of our society, the shape of our minds. Hey, what's up, Theo? And how you doing, Rowdy? There was a certain trajectory of thought that looked like it was going to have a good, respectable, healthy establishment, right? Where you could tell that there was something wrong with stuff. We were revealing that we were being gaslit to, right? And the exploration of the occult and the concern about why all of the terrible conspiracy theories in the world are associated with elitists that have this very, very strange version of this magic that you're hearing about. And like, you hear about all these guys that have those different kinds of practices, that are among the acceptable. And there's a need for new things to break through. But because everybody was getting lost and swimming in the sauce of just merging everything established together, right? Like, the amalgamation was bound to happen. Natural element of the age of Aquarius is the amalgamating of the magical technologies, the amalgamating of cultures, and so on and so forth. It's just like it all kind of comes with the territory. The problem is that you're trying to wedge certain pieces in that don't fucking fit, because not everybody has the same actual uniformity, because we're talking about a certain element that was not a tribe that made a tribe of themselves when they made big fucking basically national level movement to convert to a religion and to make sure that everybody was all about that in their very personal lives, and created a strict conditionary system to put you on that. And this is what's been cultivated, and and all that history is related to I'll be frank, and they are just one of many examples. This isn't just picking on the Khazarians that are part and parcel of what people think they're talking about when they mention the tribes. And I'm not saying what they are or aren't per se. I am just saying that it stems, all this stuff in particular stems from there, which that's whatever associations rationally are concluded. Hey, what's up, Lindsay? When do I think the age of Aquarius started? Well, that's a good question, right? The precession of the equinox is very slow, right? So there's the cusping energies, and that's what makes it tough, is like, when is it precisely in the cusp? When is it a cusp energy? Because the cusp is a long period for slow moving heavenly bodies. The precession of the sun is slow, just like Pluto is slow, right? What's for certain is that Pluto is exacerbating the Aquarian as as the like Pluto. I've said this before. Pluto is like Batman or Sherlock Holmes. He's this investigator, and so he digs deep to the bottom of things. Aquarius is man, and it's mankind. It's opposite Leo. Why is it opposite Leo? Leo is the king, the sovereign head. So there's the leader and the people, and they're opposite each other. Gotta love how they worked that out when they invented the current 12-point system, which people can get into true sidereal astrology, and then you're working with things like Aries is only like 10 degrees big, and most Aries are Pisces, right? You get into that because Pisces is a whole lot of people, Sages are a whole lot of people, but not a whole lot of people are Geminis, yada yada yada. It gets into those details. Fine, I get it, but my Piscean side of my personality is just easily explained through Vedic anyway, right? I don't need to be I don't even know what to tell you, right? I know I act like I don't like I should like it. Like, Ophiuchus. My moon is in Ophiuchus. Honestly, that's pretty fucking cool. But personally, I have a different way that I look at it, but I need to take in some more time because I get it about the actually looking at the sky straight up the right way. Cameron, how's it going, Cameron? Cameron is a friend from James True's Patreon. Shout out James True. He's been busting his ass doing some very, very hard subject matter for people that aren't ready to talk about certain scientific, biological sciences about gender and things, and fertility cult stuff going on. Interesting challenges to the ideas of Dr. Hillman or Mr. Bashir's, so on and so forth. Right? So yeah. We are gnarly traffic. All right. So we are going into this age of Aquarius as such, and I would say that it would seem that when we really started hitting the end of the 19th century. Hold on a second. Due to incomplete address details to avoid a return. That might be I don't know, I'll have to look that up. I ordered something that I've ordered from the same website a bazillion times, and I don't know why there'd be a problem. Anyway, deal with it later. I'm not in a rush to get my music. Yeah, but the turn of the 19th century, we started having telecommunications and we started having flight. Telecommunications, flight, the harnessing of electricity as part of life, all these things coming in. This was Aquarius introducing itself for sure. At least it was introducing itself. You have no choice but to let it in, but he at least was coming over the horizon, right? Because that's a way that you look at it from the perspective of societal transformations in the beat that they talk about in, quote, progress of technology and things, invention. But then there's also the attitudes of what we can do, what we are capable of, right? There's the shifting attitudes, because the same time that we're coming in with this kind of tech, we're also watching people come in with Um, we're watching the materialistic world, the heavy density world, kind of revealing itself at the same time. Like, religion's failure became the backseat to what would be the scientific establishments having the precedence. And this is highly fueled in the West by the French Republic and the American Republic, because their overthrowing of the crowns was also the overthrowing of the Godhead, because the next system would not have a religiously appointed executive. There's religious observation, but as far as a leader of a country saying, like, it is as our faith under this church that our nation does this, right? Donald Trump can do a whole lot of religious grandstanding, right? And you can invoke God or evoke God, whichever way it might be happening, in the general sense. But you cannot sit there and you can't say what particular doctrine you are citing for why you're doing anything, right? In an official capacity. You can take the risk and say anything the fuck you like to the crowd, when you're just doing, like, political grandstanding, right? So, exiting the age of Pisces, those are all signs that we were exiting the age of Pisces, right? So those are all, like, beats that you try to nail down. What was the year that we crossed a real definite threshold, right? And some people will say when we dropped the atom bomb. Some people will say when we shot Kennedy. Some people will say when Germany hit the, like, came into being, or what. Like, there's all these different, like, beats, and you're trying to really get your head clear about it, right? Because we certainly know that we've been living in a whole bunch of stuff about the age of Pisces, but I think at the same time that maybe it's because we're in the age of Aquarius already that we have that hindsight, which to me comes off as a more apparent thing around the early 2000s, once becoming an internet researcher became a big fucking deal. Right, you figured 2012. Yeah. Well, maybe, but you got to remember, like, there's a reason why I mentioned True Sidereal. If you're still listening, Theo. The Mayans didn't fucking count. They probably would not have done a 12-degree system, right? If we're talking about ancient ways that they did it, they probably weren't doing degree by degree anyway. I mean, they may have been doing it by how stars lined up, which may have come very, very close. Right? So the Mayan calendar is a circular calendar, and it's obviously meant to just keep going back around. Like when your clock hits 12 o'clock and then it goes, and it hits 12 o'clock and then it goes, right? So this is why the world doesn't end. That was just, the Mayan calendar was meant to be a manifestation. They wanted to invoke the manifestation of 2 minutes to midnight and impress it upon an ancient calendar from a mysterious civilization that's got some some archaeological credibility that the archaeologists like this is all archaeology fucking grifting effectively. It was the 2012 interpretation of that calendar is the biggest fucking grift you've ever known. And we're letting ourselves get emotionally fucking turned upside down because people experience big fucking catastrophes and things like that, like, so often, right? There's always like big shit turns people's heads upside down, all these things that, like the world changed in 2001. Technically the world changed in 2008 with the financial fucking crisis, right? And those are like subtle shifts and then bigger shifts, within the cycles of what you experience in your lifetime. I really wish I could fucking say at this point. Because 2012 was vibe. It was intuitively, it felt like we had crossed some end, and in many ways we did, because the way that the actions of government and the attitudes of politicians changed after 2012, where they finally dropped all the pretense of what they said they weren't in 2001 when they passed all of the new kinds of laws that they were enforcing. And, they just gave up and said, no, like we want to put this against the American people. And all sorts of people were all for that, right? The reason why we don't trust each other over things like this is because there is legitimately something they don't want us to know because it's bad for us. You gotta walk away from a bad fucking business deal. Right? You gotta stop fucking participating with their fucking tax system like that, right? All right, let me tell you what I do as I'm working here, right? As an employee, I do my thing. I know that I don't have a profit-based income. I have a this is my labor-based pay for my work. There's no profit here. Somebody else is making a profit. Basically, I don't do a tax return, right? I don't file because they can keep the fucking money. They can keep the fucking money. It's lost money anyway. For me to get that fucking money back, I have to spend most of that money on a fucking tax guy because of how much I make. So I don't. I just don't. It's not worth it. It's not worth it, because if I try to do that myself, I don't cross the proper T's, dot the proper I's. I'm not dealing with the consequences of that either. Somebody wants to come after me, I'd say, like, you're telling me that for 18 bucks an hour working part-time, I made so much money that you were desperately trying to give back to me that you're going to force me to file paperwork and pay for a guy to file the paperwork so you can give money back to me under the risk of being under arrest. Because the way you guys are, like, what's the point? Just to get a little bit of fucking money back and to torture myself with a fucking tax? Keep it. Fucking keep it. I'll make extra money other ways. I don't need to fucking do that. I'll enjoy my fucking government services at my fucking discretion. Thank you. right? Because I'm not gonna fucking do weird filing shit with companies I employ under. You know, as far as I'm concerned, it's not me paying the tax, it's the company paying the tax. So I'm not actually paying taxes. Because I just see that fucking tax form, the way you have to file withholding information, yada, yada, yada. I'm just like, fine, whatever. This is what I have to expect from all people that don't want to just fucking give me money for doing the thing. It's all got to be on the books, which is what you got to do if you're a fucking registered company. And we have registration for things like companies, for accountability, liability, and trust, right? So therefore, you're not some suspiciously unknown, untraceable entity in which, if there is a case against your company, there's no way of freaking going after any of it on behalf of the wronged party. And the idea is that we believe that there's a civil intermediary way of solving disputes, which doesn't which under an anarchist's sense, a proper anarchist who is no, what is it? No leaders, no slaves. There are masters, but no leaders, right? It's just like master, like slave master. So the term became no masters, no slaves. Shout out Mark Passio. But no leaders is really more what is up with that. I had to deal with that principle at work last week. That principle has been handled. Somebody who was made the lead of the team, really not very good at it, and I had to tell him to stop fucking leading me under risk of getting in trouble, because I knew that something was wrong, because I knew that somebody was not telling me everything. Meaning that what this guy was saying he was overinflated, so he could fucking run around being a petty tyrant because he wants to fucking because he thinks he can get himself the leadership experience to eventually be in charge, and he's freaking, but he can't be. He's not. He's first off, his speaking demeanor is of low speak. Here's a good one to talk about: low speak versus high speak. I was thinking about this, and I didn't want to actually talk about this, so I'm glad it popped up in my head. Low speech and high speech. What am I talking about? Low magic and high magic, and the vernacular we use for it. Low speech, as in he's speaking ghetto, speaking street, right? Speaking a certain language, and having a certain, and it's not really that language per se, but it's the whole attitude. It's the whole, like, he's sitting here listening to him make really stupid statements. Nobody on the team, like, respects him because he doesn't, like, he just thinks that this is like it's a divine providence of this is absolutely correct and proper, and the way I am handling it in conveyance to other people that I am in charge of is correct and proper, right? And he's not in charge. He's leading, but he's not in charge, I would say. They should have told him, you're not in charge. That's not what being the lead is. That would have changed the game tremendously. But either way, the point is that, you know, a petty tyrant is the worst kind of manager. And I think we're living in a world that is kind of done with the petty tyrant manager in the first place, because 2020 was stand here, like, I bet you $1 million this fucker was in a mask telling people where to fucking stand, and probably jiggering off. Like, oh, hey, he ain't got a mask on. And he fucking probably gets all jumpy. I bet he gets fucking jumpy. Because he seems a bit jumpy. He's an older guy. You know, this is an older guy who, you know, like, people don't fucking know that they're in a fucking smaller world, and then they realize, and then they think that they're supposed to, it's just like, Heimdall may have said you're going to be a thrall. Your test is to transcend what you are. Right? So, to me, this feels like it's a step towards the position in life I really want to have. Alright. I wonder if these guys are going to the job site. This one's got like a little digging backhole situation. Probably not. I think all the digging would have been done last week. Because the thing's, like, the place is pretty much set at this point. Now, I'd imagine everything at this point is more along the lines of because I'm not going to be laying power down, I'm going to be doing inventory. But, as fascinating as that is, let me get back to low speak and high speak. So, high speak, when I'm really, like me, like, going through what I'm doing with reading Heidegger and all that stuff is high speak, right? You know, when I, you know, when I need to be rolling, socially, I can put the high speak away to be laid back and loose and jump into the low speak, right? I've seen low speak used in left-hand path magic, and I've seen high speak used in right-hand path magic. And it seems like, pretty much seems like you have to use high speech in right-hand path magic. And I don't think you have to use low speak, but in chaos magic, you can use low speak to great effect, right? You saw plenty of this with the way people wielded the magic of vulgarity. Ha! Waka waka waka. That's a good one, Theo. No, sir. No, it does not. It's a good joke, though. High speak, high magic. So, and I think that low speak does serve an important place that you and I can have, right? You know, to be able to have a power with both as necessary. There's a certain flexibility. It can solve a lot of problems if you know how to use it properly. Like, this is the ambidextrous path that I have spoke of before. Where I'm not just falling into a handset of modalities. This is the achievement of wholeness of self, when you can operate powers within the left and the right hemisphere of the brain, when everything is heart initiated and gut driven. You could even say it's gut driven on top of the heart initiative. Ooh boy, it's a rainy day. I'm gonna have to put on a coat. This is gonna be fun. Alright, let me see here. Click right over here. I don't know where I have to park today because I'm in a different area. Alright, thanks guys so much. This was fun. I'm gonna figure out where I need to be, and I will catch you guys later.